Excited to reach out to everybody, see everybody. I am actually in Jacksonville, Florida now. I'm at the Sawgrass Resort. It's gorgeous. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's absolutely amazing. But, I've been seeing this young man doing some really cool videos on social media and and then I checked out his profile, saw some people putting a nice looking belt around his waist. I was like, man, this guy seems like a catch wrestler. I need to get to know him. So very, very excited to welcome Jesse James Kosakowski. So Jesse, welcome. I appreciate you jumping on. I know it's short notice, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely, bro. Great talking to you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, before we went live here, we were kind of BSing a little bit. So you're 5-1 as a pro MMA, 7-0 as an amateur MMA, done a crap ton of grappling and whatnot. But what I like is that you very much have this kind of catch wrestling emphasis, which is what, I've been pushing for 25 years. I was like, the first guy to put out competitions, the first guy to actually bring real legit catch wrestlers to the scene and whatnot. So I really love this because I'm 52, dude. I'm old. I love to see the young bucks coming up here, these studs coming up, and you're doing such a great job. I really, really enjoy the way what I can tell by your instructionals is you're starting to transcend kind of the cookie cutter technique, and you're starting to really start innovate and develop your own little tweaks and additions to the stuff. And I just really appreciate what you're doing. But for everybody that's watching, we got a pretty decent size following here, probably 500,000 across all the socials. Just give them the rundown. You were telling me that you kind of come from a Larry Hartzell lineage of catch wrestling. Your dad had a lot of experience, brought you in. You didn't, and you seem to be doing fantastic, but you didn't have like a folk style amateur wrestling, like NCAA style wrestling background. It's all martial arts. Tell the people a little bit about your come up, about who your influences are, where you pick things up.
Yeah, I mean, I started when I was really small, which I think has given me, quite the edge in a lot of my competitions. I started training when I was real young. I was 4 or 5 years old. I wouldn't say that I was, as serious about when I was little. I used to, actually tell my mother, I'd be like, listen, like, I don't know if I want to go today, blah, blah, blah. But once I started actually competing, though, I fell in love with it. I think, I really got that competitor in me, that competitive instinct where I like to challenge myself and I like to, be able to overcome challenges and win. I love getting my hand raised. So I've always, liked competition. I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments. I started doing like Dragon's Lair and Nagas when I was, probably 8 years old. I started competing in boxing, kickboxing when I was 10. And, now, fast forward today, I'm a 5-1 pro. I was a 7-0 amateur with 3 amateur titles. So I've racked up quite a bit of, buzz for myself over the years, just doing what I do. I did have a little bit of time off because I had, a back injury and, various other things going on in my life. But, it's good to be back. I got back in January and I won, via first round knockout, took the guy down, got on top of him. He held guard and I just started landing ground and pound and I was able to get the finish. So, I come from a background of catch wrestling for sure under my father, who was influenced by Larry Hartzell. My father actually learned from 3 of Bruce Lee's original students. He learned from multiple Dan Inosanto, Tim Tackett, Larry Hartzell. Some of those guys are more striking oriented, but it's still an influence. Bruce Lee was training, grappling under like Gene LaBelle and other people. So there's a lot of history behind my background and my lineage, which is kind of cool. I also I train under Nick Newell and Roger Denton, and they actually do have a big influence of catch and folk style wrestling and stuff like that too. So those are some of my other coaches that are definitely a big influence in my style. Eric Paulson, I just got done working with doing a seminar with him over in New York. I just saw him probably a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. So I work with a lot of high level catch wrestlers for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I really do like the the Jeet Kune Do community, and you mentioned two names that are good friends of mine, Eric and Gene LaBelle, rest in peace. Gene was a very close friend of mine, and it's funny because I know you're a younger cat, and but you seem really up on the history as well. And Gene had a real special place for catch wrestling, and I see Eric kind of taking over that mantle, not just because they're both in Southern California, and but Gene was like an ambassador, and he really was able to go out and spread the sport to other people, other martial artists and whatnot. And I see Eric doing such a great job of that. The Jeet Kune Do scene is real interesting because clearly Larry Hartzell, I never met him, but he was very, very instrumental and influential on the grappling side. What was it, like the trapping to grappling part of the Jeet Kune Do? But then obviously Eric, was trained and went and fought Shuto, which was all, catch as catch can inspired and whatnot. So I mean, that's very interesting. And you're in Connecticut, is that right?
Yes, I'm based out of Waterbury, Connecticut. Like I said, I train in Milford as well. But Connecticut, there's a lot of talent here. A lot of people don't know, how good we really are over here. We have very good, knowledge in grappling right here in the state of Connecticut. Most people don't really know that though. People they kind of shit on Connecticut a little bit, but we have a lot of talent here, a lot of local talent, man.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously you're repping really well. So what's the future hold for you? Like, what's the big vision for you? Like, what do you aspire to? Like, what you say you like a big challenge. I love that. Like, that's definitely champion mentality. What is the big, crazy, wild goal?
I'll be honest, man. I could see myself, with a belt around my waist, whether it's MMA, whether it's grappling, whatever route I really want to take, I can go. I'm dabbling into posting the content because, there with the sport of MMA, with the sport of jiu-jitsu, you don't really make a whole lot of money, when it comes to, literally just competing, at least not at first. You have to really make it far in order to make the money. I want to start dabbling into the online training, so I really learned how to edit videos. And, when I really got good at the editing, I've been just kind of making it a thing where I just make like two reels a day, post 2 reels a day. And, I want to start going that route too, where I could start monetizing my page and start really going from there. That's one thing I'm trying to get into, but, me being a competitor, I don't see myself stopping competing anytime soon. I love going out there and, I'll be honest, I like to dominate. If I could go do a sport, I'm going to put my 110% into it, and that's just the way I am. I really like competing. So, I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. It's just the only thing that's really held me back over the years was just injuries. But, I've kind of been working on just keeping that, toned down and just staying healthy, eating. I eat properly on a daily basis. I'm super disciplined when it comes to like my strength and conditioning, my recovery and everything. So, it's just a matter of just staying healthy and just, competing at the highest level that I can.
Yeah. So like, so I hear kind of two angles here. One, which is near and dear to my heart, which is like the entrepreneurship, and then also kind of getting the word out through the social media and whatnot. But also, big goals. Like, do you see yourself staying in Connecticut? Do you see yourself moving out to Vegas? And how old are you? Like, if you don't mind
I'm 28 right now. But I don't even feel like I've really reached my prime yet. I don't even feel like I'm there yet. I'm still getting better. I'll be in the gym and I'll start doing things that my coach is like, damn, like you're moving better than you did, last week. I'm constantly improving, getting better, and I'm always working on new things. And, one thing about training is you can never know everything, right? So, I go see guys like Eric Paulson and I'm like, damn, I don't know jack shit compared to this guy, and it's like I learn from these guys, and I pick up even if I disregard like 6 things that they show me. If they show me 2 new moves that add something to my game, I utilize and I take it, and I improve from that. So I see, sky's the limit. I could really go multiple routes. I just think as far as making the videos is, going to help just get my name out there that much more. And I feel like it's going to work synergistically with my fighting, for me to be able to just have my fight career and then also have my page growing at the same time. I think they're both just going to, skyrocket from there.
Yeah. Your videos look amazing, dude. I really love them. And I love,
thank you, bro.
A lot of times there's an art to the instructional. And a lot of people don't understand that. And you've mastered it to me. And one of them is like, a lot of people love to sit there and freaking pontificate for 10 hours explaining shit like a Danaher video. And then you're sneezing and you miss even what the fuck he's talking about because it went so long.
Yeah, those don't get views.
Like, this is the move. And then you bang on the guy.
Yep.
And then you break it down. And it doesn't have to be this giant fight. It could be done in 30 seconds or a minute. You really do masterfully at that. And I think that obviously the growth of your, you're getting pretty good traction with regards to your views and things of that nature too. That's how I saw it. So it's definitely a good strategy.
Yeah, I think it's, I think it would be ignorant for, anybody to disregard social media. The power of social media is crazy, so if you're not utilizing that, as an edge to your career and, your business, at the end of the day, this is a business, if you're not, figuring out how to get yourself out there, if I don't, show people what I'm capable of on social media, I'm kind of just holding myself back in terms of, how far I could really go with things. So, that's just why I'm using it. But it's not to say that I'm still not focused on other things. It's just, that's definitely been a primary focus of mine as of recently.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so, because we've got a pretty big reach. We've got almost 200,000 on Instagram alone.
Yeah, I saw, man.
So, what are your URLs and your handles and stuff so people watching this can come over and jump up on your page?
So I just changed it. For some reason on Instagram, you can't. It probably takes like a little bit for them to actually upload the new username, but it's going to be at Jesse James Jitsu. Right now, it's at Jesse James Training _. The reason I changed it to Jitsu, I feel it was more. To me, it seems more marketable. I think I could get more viewership with a name that's more tailored towards grappling, because most of what I show is grappling. It's not that I'm not going to be showing mixed martial arts content, fitness content, and stuff like that, but I think it's more tailored to what I'm posting right now. But it's at Jesse James Jitsu on TikTok. It's on YouTube. I'm on Facebook too, as you know. I think that's where we spoke. So, I'm on a lot of different platforms, but I just recently changed it actually.
Okay, yeah. So guys, go check him out because it really is. It's fantastic content. And what I love about it is, it is all very heavy catch as catch can. Like I'll see you doing a lot of stuff. Like I commented on one of your things with the schoolboy. I can't remember, you call it a hillbilly or something, but
yeah, I saw it was named. So my coach calls it the Hillbilly Slam, but I looked it up. It is schoolboy, so I don't know why they called it I don't know why he calls it Hillbilly Slam. I mean, tomato. At the end of the day,
different areas
the same thing.
Call things different. Somebody calls some a ball and chain ride in Pennsylvania, but it means something different in Arizona.
Kimura, double wrist lock. I mean, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter.
Just make sure you do it the right way, right? That's what you call it.
100%.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So, listen, man, I really appreciate you jumping on. Keep blowing up. If we can help you, I'm always here for you. We've got a couple interesting programs that I think would be in alignment. We've got a big audience that loves your kind of content. Plus, we do a lot of business development. Have you ever heard of a cat named Grant Cardone?
I don't believe it. Sounds familiar. I might have him on Facebook, but I'm not.
He's just a big, like one of these big gurus like Tony Robbins or Gary Vee, but he's strictly business. And
okay.
So I work with him, and that's a big reason why we've been able to blow up so big as well, is that we do understand, that this is actually entrepreneurship as well. You've got to promote, which you're doing 100%. A fantastic job. You got to have offers. You got to have like, what is the big vision? And dude, I'm just super excited. I'm definitely keep my eye on you. You're definitely like a rising star, and I know you're just getting started. And dude, 28 is young, bro. 28 is young. That's when I think I was 28 when I started training with Frank Shamrock, and I didn't start training with Billy Robinson until I was like 33.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then I was with him for
That's
7 years.
awesome that you were able to work with Billy, man. I wish I got to work with him.
Oh, I mean, so it's interesting what you were talking about earlier about your coaches. And one of the things, I don't think, I think you've got some natural gifts, and then on top of that, a lot of grit and a lot of grind, which is, really what is the requirement to step above everybody else, because talent alone won't get you there.
Yeah.
Grind alone won't get you there, but you get those two together, man, and you can go anywhere. But I was definitely a little short on the genetics. So I leaned into really going after the very, very, very best coaches that I could find. Obviously, I was Billy's right-hand man for 7 years, actually. The only guy out there that he's endorsed as his, to carry on his coaching. There's a lot of people that love to say that, but none of them, it's very blessed, because
that's awesome. That's definitely a blessing, man.
Yeah, he never gave compliments, so it's like crazy. But also guys like Carl Gotch, who started the Shuto lineage with Sayama and those guys. But also some guys from folk style like Wade Chalice, who's the Guinness record for the most wins and pins ever in all of wrestling, holds the record for NCAA and 106 pins. Probably will never get beaten, just because they've changed some of the rules too. But yeah, it's very important that you go and you aim for the very, very top, and you really push yourself to grow, because you'll always be shocked at, like, holy shit, I was able to do this thing. And the difference sometimes is just the belief.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't have a limiting belief. You just can't have this, like you're talking about, you just got to have this like big belief and this desire to dominate. And I'm really excited to watch you, man, because you got a lot of runway.
28, yeah, thank you, man.
You could go to 40, bro. That means 12 years.
Seriously. No, I mean, like I said, man, sky's the limit. If I was able to overcome, especially like the back injury that I had, I know I could overcome anything, man, because I didn't think I was going to come back. It was real.
Was it lower back, or what happened?
It's weird. It's like it was actually not even my back. I had I had surgery on my back, and it didn't help, and I had to go see multiple specialists, and now I'm locked in with a guy. He treats me like every couple weeks, like to this day, just to make sure that I'm on point. But it was my hips, actually. I had to fix my hips. I had one hip going this way, the other one going the opposite way, and yeah, so I was able to, really correct that. And, to this day, I just got to, kind of just stay on point with that. As long as I'm moving, I'm good, but, it does flare up a little bit at times, but not like it did. Like, it was real bad. I couldn't even sit down for more than an hour without, being pretty damn uncomfortable. I couldn't train. I remember when I was getting back into the swing of training, I had done a couple comps, and, I just didn't feel right. I was still getting like spasms and stuff, and it just wasn't right. But now I'm good. I feel good, and I feel like everything's kind of coming together, so I feel like, things happen for a reason. And, that definitely, I feel like I grew from it. I grew as a person, as an athlete.
Yeah. As you get older too, you start to get more and more skeptical of these fucking doctors. You're like,
yeah.
Like, dude, no, I'm, these, you guys talk shit on chiropractors, but that actually helps me, dude.
Yeah.
And you don't jack me up and cause worse problems and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel you, dude. So awesome, man. Well, guys, check them out again. Do you have a website too, or is it just mostly your blog?
Yes, I do. JesseJamesMMA.com.
Jesse James, and Jesse James, how good of a name is that, bro?
Yeah, nah, but I was blessed to have a good name, man. It's good little marketing name.
Yeah, right, dude, we got to get you like the Outlaw or some shit going on there.
Yeah, nah, no nickname needed, man. The middle name is good enough.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's all we need.
That's awesome. Okay, so Jesse James MMA.
Yes, sir.
And then was it Jesse James Jitsu?
Yeah, so Jesse James Jitsu on Instagram right now. If they were to look me up at Jesse James Training _, and they could find my page. I don't think it corrected yet, but they could look me up on all social media. It's just Jesse James Jitsu, or just look up my full name. My full name is Jesse James Kosakowski. So I know it's a mouthful, but KOSAKOWSKI, and they can find
Did I do all right? I didn't butcher it, did I?
Nah, I think no, you're good. You got it. Yeah, first try.
Yeah. So all right, brother. Well, listen, man, if we could do anything to help you, don't be afraid to reach out. It's a real pleasure talking to you. and excited to keep an eye on you guys. Check him out, jessejamesmma.com, and then at Jesse James Jitsu on all the socials. Dude, keep going, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Will do, man. It was a pleasure talking, and I hope we stay in touch for sure.
Of course.